Albert Ojwang didn't die. He was killed in police custody at the hands of the very people who are sworn to protect us. But what's even worse than the killing is our silence. Because if this country doesn't wake up now, we are heading straight back into the darkness. Back to the days of Moi. Back to the days where dissent was death and nobody even whispered a word.
Kutoka leo unyamaze. Sitaki kusikia tena Mwakenya. Unyamaze. Serikali itapambana na hawa moja kwa moja. Sitarogota.
Hundreds of Kenyans were arrested and tortured in flesh and spirit in the Nyayo House chambers.
I would be beaten, and while I was stark naked, I would be electrocuted at times, and it was just horrible even to remember that little thing.
We have agreed we are going to convert the Nyayo torture chambers into a national monument of shame.
This is not just about one man. Albert Ojwang's blood is warning. A warning that RUTO's government is desperate, cornered, failing. And like every collapsing regime before it, it's now reaching for the most dangerous weapon in its arsenal. Fear. Fear enforced by boots, by batons, by bullets, and by death in silence. Albert was arrested for speaking his mind. He was picked up in Migori, transferred to Nairobi, and just like that, he was dead.
So on Saturday at around midday, police officers in plainclothes on 3 motorcycles arrived at Albert's home in Homa Bay County and picked him up while he was having lunch. Unfortunately, that was the last time his family would see him alive because in the next 18 hours, he will be pronounced dead.
Police claim suicide. They say he banged his own head against a wall.
Vitu wa ziada pwai, anaambiwa mtu wake alipass after kugonganisha kichwa yake, kwa wall ya cell. So, hao wanasema the guy ni kama alitake his own life.
But when his family saw his body, his face was swollen, bloodied, and bruised.
This is a guy mwenye on a phone call which was recorded. Alikuwa anafanya nini? Anaambia mabeshte zake manze fanyeni nini? Tafuteni bail. Monday nikipelekwa koti, mkuje mfanye nini? Mkuje mnishoe.
That's not suicide. That's murder. State-sanctioned, state-covered-up murder. In his last phone call, he said, "Will I be safe in here?" He already knew the answer.
The issue here is not Albert Omondi Ojwang. Nope. He is a statistic in a game that we've allowed for far too long, where the people whose core mandate is to protect you, one, have no accountability, and secondly, they comfortably can maim and kill without a care of anything.
But ask yourself this, where is the outrage? This isn't new. We saw it in the Kenjo Commerce brothers. We saw it in the BBC's expose on what transpired on June 25th, where cops were caught on video executing suspects. And what happened? Nothing. We tweet, we cry, we trend hashtags, then we move on.
Siwezi explain venye nimejangori. Huyu ni baba ya Albert Ojwang. Ebu angalia ile uchungumza yako nayo. Ebu unaweza feel your pain kwa hewa yani jo.
We have been desensitized, trained to accept murder as part of everyday life, just like in the 80s, just like under Moi, and now it's back with a digital twist. This time, they are killing bloggers, influencers, truth tellers, and instead of outrage, we scroll.
One day, maybe si sahi, one day, watu watakuwa answerable, watu watasimama mbele ya judge.
Tumepata habari kuna kijana yenu hapa Gen Z ametekwa nyara na kuuawa, si ndio? Huyu Kasongo ako na shida na vijana.
Let's be clear, this is not an accident, it's a strategy. Ruto's government has failed. on the economy, on promises, on unity. 2027 is coming, and they know that they can't win through votes. So they are trying fear of speaking, fear of questioning, fear of vanishing without a trace.
Bruh. You know, this mind-blowing threat and reverse psychology might have worked back in the day, not today. But all in all, it's high time as Kenyans we recognize that we're no longer living in a democracy, we are living in active dictatorship.
And it's been disguised as quote-unquote order and quote-unquote national unity.
We are around just 1 week after the grand tour of Luo Nyanza that climaxed into Madaraka Day celebration in Raila Odinga Stadium in Homa Bay, where Luos spent over 24 hours in the stadium just to see planes flying, nice vehicles, good ceremony, and then we're asking ourselves, now what?
Where is Baba? Where is the so-called defender of democracy now? But here is what cuts even deeper. Albert came from Raila Odinga's backyard, and yet Raila has said nothing. Even worse, fellow Luos have defended the killers just because they are now in government, just because they sit at the same table as the butchers.
I don't know what is happening with my brothers from the Luo Nyanza. Tumekuwa na nyinyi Azimio. We have been fighting for the social justice. We have been fighting for the rights of Kenyans. But saizi, kijana ametolewa kwao akiwa mzima, Homa Bay. Ameletwa all the way to Nairobi. Amepigiwa police station ndani, akapigwa hadi akauliwa. Then wanasema amejipigisha ukuta. And some of you, in fact majority of you, you are very okay with that. In fact, niliona wengine wakisema they are agreeing with police that huyo kijana maybe alijipigisha kwa ukuta. Wengine wanasema there is no way police wanaweza muua akiwa kwa police station, lazima ni alijipigisha kwa ukuta. Alikuwa amekataa kujua akiwa kwao nyumbani. Kijana akona kazi, he is somehow stable, the only son to that mzee, amepigiwa police, ameuliwa, and you people have the guts even to support that just because you of blood based or something like that.
What happened to us? When did we start choosing power over our own people? How can we accept that loyalty to government means loyalty to murderers?
Leo nasikia wakisema ati 25th of June is a public holiday. There is nobody with the power to declare a public holiday other than the government of Kenya through the Ministry of Interior and National Security.
Now, even mourning is a threat. On June 25th, the day the BBC revealed what our police did to innocent Gen Zs last year, the opposition, led by Rigathi Gachagua, is planning a candlelit memorial.
Tunasema hivi basi kwa heshima ya watoto wetu wa Kenya Gen Z, tarehe 25 mwezi huu, siku ambao walienda bungeni, itakuwa public holiday. Wangapi wanakubaliana na sisi?
Not a rally, not a protest, just candles, just remembrance. But guess what? Government loyalists like Kimani Ichung'wah are attacking it, calling it a political stunt, saying it's provocational.
And for those who imagine that the unfortunate events of last year, June, is something that you will incite Kenyans with, please look for another agenda.
So now we are not even allowed to grieve? Think about that. Albert Ojwang's death is not just a tragedy, it's a mirror. It shows us who we are and what we are becoming. A country where speaking out is a death sentence, where leaders stay silent for political gain, where whole communities defend killers just to stay in favor, and now where mourning itself is forbidden. This is not the Kenya we fought for. This is the beginning of dictatorship. And if we don't act now, you could be next. We have to demand answers. We have to speak out. Do not let Ojwang's death be forgotten. Do not be afraid to mourn. Because when we normalize murder, we become the grave diggers of our own freedom. Subscribe.